Welcome to our fourth installment on the Greco-Persian Wars, the Battle of Salamis. Before we get started on the actual battle, let's take a look at a few names that are important. The first is Themistocles, a Greek politician and military commander who would lure the Persians into this battle at sea. Another is Xerxes, the Persian king at the time of the battle. Next, we have Artemisia, who was a female tyrant of Halicarnassus and played the role of Xerxes' advisor during the Battle of Salamis. She ended up using the battle to her advantage, but we'll touch on that later. Next, we have Eurybiades, who was a Spartan commander, even though the Athenians were much better sailors. And finally, we have Mardonius, who was one of the Persian commanders. So, before the Battle of Salamis, the Athenians had gone to consult with the oracle at Delphi to ask how they could win this battle, and they were told that their salvation lay inside wooden walls. Themistocles interpreted the answer as advice that the Greeks would be victorious if they went to war at sea, in wooden ships. At this time, the Greeks had some extra money, and Themistocles convinced the Greeks to use that money to build a new naval force, so that the Athenians built over 200 triremes, and they would be able to fight at sea. As you see, a trireme is an ancient ship that had 3 rows of oars, and was also easily maneuverable. This would benefit the Greeks in their battle tactics. They took their triremes and left Athens to go and wait on an island of Salamis, hoping to lure the Persians unknowingly to battle. In September of 480 BCE, the Persians entered Athens and found it deserted, so they stole all their treasures and set the city on fire, including the Acropolis. The Persians had meant this to be revenge for when the Athenians had helped the Ionian rebels burn down the Persian city of Sardis. The Persians had meant this to be revenge for when the Athenians had helped the Ionian rebels burn down the Persian city of Sardis way back when, during the Ionian revolt. This is when the Greeks put their plan into motion. The Athenian general Themistocles sent a secret, false message to the Persians. The message was meant to make the Greeks sound weak, and said that the Greeks were all scared and that by the time the Persians got there, a fight could have already commenced because everyone was disagreeing. The Persians believed him and sailed for Salamis, where they thought they would easily defeat the Greeks without having a major battle. This battle occurred in the straits between Salamis and mainland Greece. The Greeks were significantly outnumbered, 2-1, but the straits were too narrow for all the Persian ships to enter, and so the Persians lost their advantage in their large numbers. The winds and currents at Salamis also disoriented the Persians, which benefited Greek tactics, and this was to ram the Persian boats. Once they had caused the damage, Greek boats could move away before any damage could be reciprocated. This was their battle tactic. An advantage that the Greeks had over the Persians, and that limited a number of Greek casualties, was that the Greeks were able to swim, while many of the Persians died from drowning. Now, remember Artemisia? Even though she was an advisor to the Persian king and commanded her own squadron of ships for the Persian side at Salamis, she did not stay entirely loyal to them during the battle, and actually used the battle to help herself. When a Greek ship was pursuing her ship, instead of trying to fight back, she used her ship to ram one of the Persian ships in order to get away. The Greeks, thinking she was on their side, stopped their attack on her. King Xerxes saw this from his throne, where he was watching the battle, and thought she had sunk a Greek ship. Since there were no survivors on the Persian ship she had sunk, the Persians were unaware of what really happened, and Xerxes praised her for her success. At the end of the day, the Greeks won the battle thanks to their superior and tactical use of these narrow straits at Salamis. After the battle was over, Xerxes went back to Persia, leaving his military commander, Mardonius, behind to watch over all their conquered territory. Eventually, Mardonius was able to take hold of Athens, which would later result in the Battle of Plataea. The Athenians and their Greek allies would fight in this battle just like they did in Salamis, but more on that in our next and final installment. Needless to say, the Battle of Salamis was a very significant battle in Greek history. It marked the turning point in the Persian Wars when the Greeks started to push the Persians out of the Greek mainland. Later on, the Greeks, under the direction of the Athenians, would form what was intended to be a permanent alliance against the Persians to keep Greece from Persian domination. To find out more about the events leading up to the final battle on Greek soil, and how this alliance was formed, check out our final installment on the Greco-Persian Wars, the Battle of Plataea. For now, thanks for watching.